All right, fellas, what's going on? Got a nice heater of a game tonight. It looks like we're getting both starting quarterbacks by the looks of it. The Geno Smith gate appears to be Geno Smith playing tonight, I guess. Jalen Hurts supposedly feeling well enough to play as well, so should be a good one. We got an interesting slate for a lot of best ball implications tonight as well, because this is the last game before the advances go for the next week. And I actually made a thread on Twitter. I'll go through it with you real quick, because I ended up like really digging deep and doing the research on like what I needed from each of these teams and that kind of thing. So basically, the way I look at it, I have 4 teams live. So right now I'm only currently in possession of 2, but there's 4 teams that have a good chance of making the next round. So team 1 is already in. This one is I'm about 20 points up. Smith and Hurts to play, with Smith basically likely to increase my lead. I actually really like this team when you look at it. I mean, you got some guys here that were hard to advance, Javonte being one of them. He was a hard guy to get into the playoffs, period, let alone through week 15. Achane, obviously, a lot of people got him into the playoffs, but I think he was harder to advance. And then, Drake London, Ayuk, and those type of guys. I thought this team was pretty solid with some good week 17 correlation like I have listed here. So that team's already in and will be going forward. Team number 2 I have listed here, currently in second place, not actually in at the moment. Basically, the way I would get this one in is if Lockett or Fant on my team here are able to crack my lineup and get 5 more points. So my third receiver here with Josh Downs, or I guess he's my flex technically, he only has 3.4. So I need like basically an 8 or a 9 point game out of Tyler Lockett. And then also I have Noah Fant live too. So if Lockett doesn't do it, Fant could do it as well. And then this team, I really like this build as well, because I mean, McCaffrey and Mostert's kind of shaky is basically my only usable running backs, because Damian Harris is dead, Cam Akers is dead, Kendre Miller is pretty useless. But getting Olave through is like really challenging, because he wasn't a high advance rate player to begin with. Plus, he was hurt this past week, so really tough and really unique team to get Derek Carr, Dak through as well, which is interesting. So this one I kind of want to get in just because it's really unique. It's a so-so team. It's not really super exciting, but I do like kind of how it's constructed. This one's the toughest sweat. My team is done playing, so I got 153 points right now. The team behind me, like right behind me, is like 2 points behind me, basically 1.76 points down, and they have Goddard and Swift going tonight. But the good news is that Goddard needs to get at least 5.6 points to tie me, or Swift needs over 18 points to tie me, because his running backs all did pretty well. So Swift probably won't factor into his lineup or his flexes. The one that could kill me is Goddard. And in half PPR, I mean, 5.6 points out of Goddard, yeah, he's probably likely to do that, but we've seen tight ends get, kind of disappear from game plans. So I'm hoping that that Goddard goes under that. And then my final like major team here that's actually live to advance, it needs a little bit to happen. This one's definitely less likely than the other 3. I'm down 17.34 points with Hurts, DK, and Goddard all going tonight. To make up those 17.5, basically, I need like Jalen Hurts to go over that 17.52 that Russell Wilson put up by like 7 or 8 points or something, have a 25-point game. DK Metcalf, he could beat Tyler Boyd 6.3 by going for like 15 or something like that. And then Dallas Goedert himself, because I want the other team to advance without Dallas Goedert doing well. Hopefully Metcalf and Hurts can be the ones to just get me in this one, and that Kittle number can stand. But again, all interesting. I do, again, technically still have 2 more that are possible, but they're really unlikely of actually happening. This one, I need about 45 points to make up, but I do have Geno, Lockett, DK, and Fant, and Penny, who's inactive, so he's not actually live here. So realistically, for this lineup, I would need Lockett and DK to go like Gallup only dropped 1.4, and he's actually making this lineup. And then my flex has 6.6. So we got 8 points out of those 2 players. If Lockett and DK crush for like 30 points or something like that between the 2 of them, or 35 points, that'll make up a lot of ground. Plus, that's obviously correlated to Geno, so he would get a lot of points there. And if he can get up another 8 to 10 on Tua, this one's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it is possible. And then this one is pretty impossible. Like this one, AJ Brown needs to get 18 more points than Jalen Hurts gets. So the only way that happens is if Hurts gets injured, probably. Or AJ Brown catches a long touchdown on a trick play, or like a rushing touchdown or something like that. So probably these 2 are dead, but I am kind of interested in seeing how that plays out. Hopefully I can I would say 3 is my goal. I would like to get 3 teams through if possible. But 2, I think, is projection wise, probably what I'm going to end up having, unfortunately.
I'm just going to show the two that I have slated to advance right now. I got a few in third place, but I just didn't do the calculation. I honestly will just see kind of tomorrow what ends up happening. But for this first team that advanced, it's actually pretty interesting. Now, I'm only one live at quarterback with Jared Goff and Deshaun Watson. But the thing with Jared Goff, he's going to be in for the next couple of weeks, very high scoring game environments. So I honestly don't even think that's a bad thing. I think he's probably going to be a good bet to go 25 plus points.
The only thing I would say against it is that Goff had the best week of any quarterback this week. So he is going to be very common in your pods next week.
But I do have some interesting advances, though. So Gibbs, obviously, that's an obvious one. I have Swift tonight. The running backs are really interesting.
Hopefully Swift tanks this game. You want Swift to tank tonight. Because if he tanks tonight, he'll be hard to get through.
Yeah, no, exactly. So Swift, Algier, there's some leverage against Bijan, which would be hard to get through anyways, but still. Singletary, Foreman, Cordero Patterson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Amari, Tyler Lockett, Jameson Williams, Michael Gallup, John Mechie. A little bit weak at wide receiver, but the top four especially should be able to give me some consistent points. And if Jameson Williams has a touchdown or Michael Gallup has a touchdown in that week 17, if I'm lucky to get there, those are probably the two out of that matchup hardest players to get through with Jameson and Michael Gallup, because everybody's going to have their CD, Amon-Ra, Laporte as of the world.
You have Gibbs. From that game, you'll have Gibbs, Goff, Lamb, St. Brown, which will probably be very common players. But if you get a long 80-yard touchdown out of JMO or something like that, then that would help make you a little bit more unique in that game specifically.
And then at tight end, I got two strong here with George Kittle and David Njoku.
Kittle probably killed a lot of teams this week as well, so getting him through would be nice as well. Sure.
So that's that one. That's the 152. This is the 168 right now. Oh, no, that's the 168 one. This is the 152. So I have Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff. Trevor Lawrence, somebody that's
Lawrence this is definitely better to have because Lawrence has a matchup against Carolina in week 17 and the Bucs this week. So he's got two pretty solid ones for you to be able to exploit there. And Bijan was hard to advance. So this is definitely a lot better version of the team that you just talked about. Montgomery also had a dud, I believe, as well, right?
Yep. Got through based off Connor and Chuba, which is pretty interesting considering the core there.
Yeah, my one team got through based on Connor and I don't even remember who the other guy was. Connor and someone with like 7 points. So that if that team holds on, I will feel really good about that one.
Yeah, and then at wide receiver, Amon-Ra obviously went off, but I snuck Ridley through. I snuck Thielen through, who's been pretty good all year, but obviously has been bad recently.
Marvin Jones and Sky are dead, though, which sucks.
They're dead, which kind of stinks, but at tight end, I'm all live with all three of them.
Thielen's kind of interesting because sneaking him, like I feel like early on in the contest, people had a lot of Thielen steam, and then he died out. So maybe people started to lose advance rates on Thielen, and getting him through would be kind of interesting, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Honestly, hoping for two. If I wake up in the morning and I have a couple more, I'll be fucking thrilled. But as long as I just get those two in, I'm pretty content with that. To be honest.
What I just did basically is I just looked at all the lineups near me and kind of saw like who do I have like I just checked my lineup first. I'm like, do I have anybody left? If I didn't, I would just write dead, rename the team to dead, and then I would just kind of look through them and see if I had a possible chance of advancing any more teams.
I found out too. I also have a puppy team that I snuck through, and it's funny because I snuck an Allen who had a shit week. My other quarterback, whatever, it's dead with Kenny Pickett, but Josh Allen, 16.16 is probably a hard player to advance.
Sneaking a breeze, nice too. That's why that one team that I showed, what was it, team number 3, I think it was. Yeah, so that team was Breece Hall, James Conner, Devon Achane, Jalen Warren, Jerome Ford, and Deuce Vaughn as the running back core. And Warren and Conner ended up getting me through with just 25 points combined. So sneaking a Breece and a Warren and a Achane and a Ford, who none of which had good weeks, seemed pretty unique to me.
Well, yeah, and then this one, like Derrick Henry too, had an awful week, and he still got some relative matches.
He's still Derrick Henry. He can do Derrick Henry things.
So that'll be fun if he can have a couple.
Gabe Davis literally dropped 0 points. So and this Chargers game this week could be a blow up spot for him. Yeah, Nico had 0 as well. Yeah, that's how I feel kind of about my Olave. Unfortunately, last night when we were watching the Ravens and Jags game, my Keenan team got knocked off by 4 points, and I have no players left, which really sucks because sneaking Keenan through would have been really nice.
It would have been really good, yeah. But I honestly, like those 3 that I'm advancing so far, I'm pretty happy with, to be honest. And then, of course, if I end up sneaking somehow more, and that'll be more icing on the cake, I guess. So
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, we'll get to some comments here. We had to recap our best ball stuff here. All right, boys, just need DK to literally not score a point and I win. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in a different position here. The way that I'm looking at this game for my best ball portfolio, I need Kenneth Walker to not do much. I need DeAndre Swift to not do much. And I need DK to do a lot. And I need Lockett to do a lot. And I need Jalen Hurts to do a lot. So, and then I'm split between Goddard because one league I need him to do well, one league I don't need him to do well. But I would say hopefully that I like the team where I don't need him to do well better. So hopefully I'll take the Goddard not doing well in that one. But this one should be interesting. Let us know in the chat here if you guys need any Monday night miracles here. We got a couple yo's in the chat. Smooth Criminal, what's going on? Yes, sir. What's going on? Spicy Hot, what's up? Nothing more comfortable than home. Yes, sir. Is Bijan chopped liver? I'm seeing a lot of Bijan panic on the timeline, my friends. It is the time to go send offers for Bijan Robinson in Dynasty. I will concede that he and Jahmyr Gibbs are equivalently valued. If not, you want to argue Gibbs over Bijan Robinson. I will totally hear you out, even though I personally would still take Bijan because of the 3-down size that he has and the upside that he actually gets his full workload. And, maybe it's just taking him a little bit longer mentally to grasp the game. We don't know. Not usually the case with running backs, but I know I've seen everything I needed to see from a talent perspective for Bijan. So I'm not concerned about him one bit. If people are concerned about him in your league, I actually tweeted out like a mini little thread about Bijan today. And I basically said, again, if you want to put Gibbs over him, that's cool. You're never going to people keep pretending like you're going to have to trade Bijan for Gibbs and all of these trades. It's like, no, you can actually acquire both guys. Keep Gibbs if you have him and go trade for Bijan on the low because these two guys are the only two running backs in fantasy football with an RB1 projection for 4 more seasons after this year because they are on their rookie contract with first round capital and they have 5th-year options. So these two guys are the cream of the crop of the running back position in the NFL right now for fantasy. And some example trade offers that I think you guys can send out if you're a prospective Bijan acquirer is go use your aging running backs, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Barkley, any other older productive running back and see what you can do to get to Bijan. Maybe you can throw in a 2nd-round pick or maybe another productive piece or something like that to get to Bijan Robinson. Maybe you can tier up from Devon Achane or Jonathan Taylor or Travis Etienne or Kenneth Walker using a 2nd-round pick. And hell, I wouldn't be shocked if some leagues people are giving you Bijan for Achane straight up. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all if people are doing that. And then pick-wise, if you're saying like, what do I value him as in terms of picks? Like I'll lower my expectations on the 3 first-rounders. I will take him down from 3 first-rounders and say he's worth 2 mid to late first-rounders and a 2nd, if not 2 seconds. So if that's what I value him as, and he's going on your open league market right now for a 1 and a 2 or something like that, which I think is going to be the case in a lot of people's leagues, then go buy Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Very straightforward. People don't you have to yes, running backs, they're dependent on opportunity and they're dependent on, kind of what their situation is and that kind of stuff. But the thing about the NFL is that stuff changes very quickly. Arthur Smith loses another game, he's probably fired. So we don't have to worry about him. And also, they could have a veteran quarterback. They could have Justin Fields. They could have Ryan Tannehill. They could draft a quarterback. We have no idea what's going to happen. What we do know is that Bijan's a workhorse running back with 4 more years of team control and he's elite talent. That's what we know. Yeah. And that's good enough to make him the RB1 undisputed in Dynasty or RB1B behind Jahmyr Gibbs.
Not to mention another implied thing here. You do realize if the Falcons don't make the playoffs based off how it looked mid-season, Arthur Smith's gone. Arthur Smith is gone. He has shown the inability to develop his quarterback. He's shown the inability to give his offensive weapons the best chance to succeed. And if the Falcons don't make the playoffs, say the Bucks do or the Saints do, Arthur Smith is canned. Not to mention that, if Arthur Smith is canned, guess what? The new general manager, the new head coach is going to have a really good set of pieces to play with on offense. Good offensive line, good wide receivers, good tight end.
You're going to have to figure out a quarterback.
Back. That's the only issue. And it's like, okay, at that point, you throw yourself your 2nd, the 45th overall pick to take a chance on Justin Fields. That team's easily winning the division next year. The quarterback play is the only reason why you didn't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got here? T, Gibbs, Godwin, Deontay helping me beat CMC. Wow. Getting through a CMC team is very impressive, Leonardo. So I definitely applaud you for that. Just need 10 points from Hurts and Goddard. Let's hope all of that comes from Hurts and not from Goddard because we're not cheering for Goddard points. Need big games from Hurts, Devontae, and JSN for best ball. Yeah. Devontae, I could use some points from him as well. JSN, I actually don't really have anywhere. So because I don't have him anywhere, I don't know if my opponents have him. So I would say let's hope we don't get a big game out of JSN.
By the way, Bush, this just came out. So I wanted to show you new seeding projections for the NFC based off ESPN analytics. So right now it's expected that the Niners, the Eagles are going to be the 1-2. Cowboys are going to end up being the 5, typical. Lions are almost locked into the 3, which is, obvious, but at the same time,
that's kind of how, because I think the tiebreakers is part of the reason why, because I think their conference record's not great, and also as well because like they're multiple wins up on the Cowboys or on the Bucks or the Saints or whatever, but also a win behind the Eagles and 49ers, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Vikings, very interesting. Basically here it says that they have, basically a 50% chance to make the playoffs. 3 seed would be if they overtake the Lions in the division. And then realistically, this would be if they finish as the wild card.
It's interesting that they're technically the second best bet for a wild card team. Or, I guess, excluding the Cowboys. But, like, behind the Cowboys, it looks like the Rams are the best bet for the first wild card or one of the wild cards. But it does look like the Vikings appear to be the next best bet for the wild card, which is very interesting because the Lions and Vikings haven't played yet this year. So they got to play each other twice still in week 16 this week, and then in week 18 they have to play each other.
This is
and
probably assuming
the
they
Vikings
split.
still have to host Green Bay too.
Yeah, this is probably assuming they split now that I'm looking at it, to be honest, because like if we're looking at a neutral field, obviously the Lions would be favored in Detroit, and it would probably be like a pick 'em or like a minus 0.5.
I'd say they'd be like minus 1.5 maybe against the Lions, or -1.
Like in maybe. Minnesota.
In Minnesota, yeah. And I think the Green Bay game also, it's in Minnesota. So they're probably going to be 4.5, 5-point favorites against Green Bay, I would imagine, something like that. It's interesting. We'll see how Nick Mullins plays. From like a playoff best ball standpoint, this tells me what I need to know about like the Seahawks and the Packers and stuff. Like, they could still make the playoffs and whatnot, but I'm probably not investing into them. The Bucks and Saints division, like the NFC South, is going to come down to week 17, who wins in week 17 because they play each other, and it is in Tampa, and the Bucks did win in New Orleans, so that would be a sweep, and then it's curtains on the division. Like even if Tampa lost this week against Jacksonville and New Orleans beat Los Angeles Rams on Thursday Night Football, that game is still going to factor in way too much for the Bucks because the Bucks also play Carolina in week 18. They're probably going to win that game. So I would say it's like the 55 to 35% seems pretty accurate to me. I think the Bucks will probably be the team that comes out of the NFC South.
Yeah, no, I would agree as well. I also think you're just playing the best football, everything aside. So I do think you guys will get the 4 seed. And it's funny, like I feel vindicated now looking back that when we were doing the playoff best balls, the only 2 teams for one-offs that I was targeting in the NFC realistically were the Buccaneers and were the Rams. So seeing their percentages as being over 50% is pretty nice.
Yeah, and my early best balls from last weekend when I was in Montreal, a lot of them were Jefferson.
Vikings.
So I think a couple Hawkinson as well. So I feel pretty good knowing that the Vikings still have a decent chance despite dropping that game against Cincinnati. Because if they didn't drop that game against Cincinnati, like we'd be talking about them pretty locked in as the 6th seed in the NFC.
Yeah, it's so weird how it didn't, like, I thought it would do more for either team with the Bengals and with the Vikings, the outcome of that game.
But when you actually look at the NFC and AFC is just different because the AFC is just like the second you lose a game, you're probably out of these 8 and 6 teams. Like the second the Colts drop a game or the Texans drop a game or the Bills drop a game or whatever, it's going to be tough sledding because the rest of the teams are probably going to win games. And some of the teams there, like the Chargers and the Colts specifically, have pretty easy schedules too. So it's unlikely that they're actually going to drop a game unless, Miami wins in week 18 against Buffalo.
Yeah.
JSN or Walker, full PPR. I'm probably going to go Ken there. I don't know about you. What do you think? At full PPR, I mean, it's probably definitely closer, but I would still go with Walker, I think.
Yeah, probably. That's
tough, though. That's tough. I mean, with Geno playing it, it's closer for JSN for sure, but I think I would personally go with Walker there, even though I don't want a big game out of Walker. I have a feeling he might have one. I actually, in the Bitcoin League, too, I need 8.75 points or less from Kenneth Walker in full PPR. So not looking good for me right now. Hopefully we get a Eagles just stuff the living daylights out of the run this game, and Walker does nothing, and they blow the shit out of them, and he's off the field in the third quarter, and it's Zach Charbonnet and DJ Dallas running 2-minute drill the rest of the game playing catch up. But I have a feeling Walker's probably going to screw me in a number of ways tonight. In best ball, in that Bitcoin league, I would be very, very upset if that happens. And none of that would have happened in the Bitcoin league if I had just fucking played Nick Mullins instead of Bryce Young, because my dumbass decided to play Bryce Young instead of playing Nick Mullins, even though I have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, which was the dumbest decision I've ever made in my life. This is what happens when you make decisions in haste. For fantasy playoffs here. Played against Laporta and McCaffrey this week, so FML. Yeah, I feel you, dude. That is brutal. I played against, you want to know who I played against this week in my home league? This is what happened to me in my home league. I've never been decimated and dismantled so hard in this league. I have yet to lose in the playoffs in the entirety of this league's history. Every time I make the playoffs, I've won the championship. But this year, was not the case. The ass kicking that I took this week was 156-85. I ran into the buzzsaw that was Brock Purdy, Alvin Kamara, who dropped 19 points. It'd be faster for me to tell you the guys that didn't do well on his team than the guys that did, because he had Jamar Chase have 10 points, Stephon Diggs had 8.8, and Aaron Jones have 11.9. Those were his worst players, but David Njoku dropped 28 on my head. Terry McLaurin dropped 27 on my head. Rashee Rice dropped 23. Brock Purdy dropped 27, and Alvin Kamara dropped 19. So I got annihilated this week. Pretty much my only good players were T. Higgins and Zamir White. I already won my matchup and still have Hurts and Smith tonight. Other league had a bye. Yeah, you love to see that. I'm feeling a little anxious about my bye week in Tone Setter Truthers, because I was on bye this week and Jamar Chase got hurt, because we're on bye, but the players aren't, unfortunately. So, Atomic Juice says the bye week is over. Would you start McBride over D-Hop, Eckler, or Mixon? Again, I don't even know who the hell they're playing, bro. I can't answer this question at this point in time. But I would say as of right now, I probably lean it's tough because with D-Hop, it's Tannehill is going to be starting now. So it's not Levis. Most likely it's not going to be Levis. So I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade. You think that's an upgrade or a downgrade for D-Hop?
What, with Levis or no Levis?
Yeah.
Honestly, the way Levis and him were developing that rapport, I think it's a downgrade, but at the same time, it's like Ryan Tannehill could just go out there and be a very good quarterback too. So I don't want to knock him too hard, but I do think the way that Levis is starting to look his way, the amount of targets he was getting in the last couple of weeks, I do think it's a slight downgrade, at least from a ambiguous standpoint. Like, we knew Levis was going to throw him the football. We don't necessarily know how this offense is going to function with Ryan Tannehill quite yet, because we haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, and then with Eckler or Mixon, my head says Eckler, but my brain,
probably Mixon,
my
bro.
eyeballs say Mixon, because Eckler looks like shit lately. I mean, I don't think that the Chargers are going to get their doors blown off by the Bills, but I also don't think it's going to be a close game either.
14.5-point home underdogs.
Yeah, I don't think it's very likely that in the NFL you see a team lose that badly the way they did to the Raiders and then come back and then again lose that badly to another team.
No,
they're probably going to keep it closer than people think.
I think
kind of like them actually against the spread in that 14.5 points, just because 14.5 is a lot in the NFL. We're talking college football numbers there. So I would say as of right now, Atomic, I lean towards McBride and Mixon with this question, but you're going to have to ask us this later on in the week for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
This league, there were no buys, or I would have one. Yeah, no buys is unfortunate. 3 weeks in a row with less than 5 points in RB2 production. Bad decision-making starting either Breece or Swift. LOL, got some tips. I think Breece and Swift are still guys that I'm trusting, man. I know it's been shitty, but I think Swift has a chance to get back on track tonight for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How good of an indicator do you think PFF receiving grades are for wide receivers?
For context,
I think so. I will say, in defense of PFF receiving grades, I think of all the football positions, I think wide receiver is the position they are best at grading.
I think O-line as well, they're very good at. Because, I mean, to be fair, it's tough to be subjective at O-line. It's a lot of objectivity. Did you make your block? Did you not make your block? What was the time to pressure? It's a lot simpler. Quarterback and corner are the positions
I think
that
linebackers
are
pretty bad with as well, because it's hard to know what the play calls and keys were on every given play. Corners is really bad too. They're really bad for that. But yeah, wide receivers, I think they've been relatively accurate. And if you just had evaluated this rookie class based off PFF grades, you would have been well above market on Tank Dell and Puka Nacua. So, I mean, they have to know at least some of what they're talking about because they have been pretty accurate on them. And also, PFF receiving grades, like rookie year PFF receiving grades, have been very predictive going forward into like future years, right? Like, you know, guys like Brandon Ayuk had a great PFF receiving grade his rookie year. Guys like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and, you know, these rookie wide receivers that come out and have great seasons, they're typically like highly graded PFF receivers. So it's correlated to some degree. So I would say it's a decent indicator. I don't think it's a horrible measurement to go off of. I actually think it's relatively predictive.
Yeah. That's fair.
Would you play Godwin over Ridley now, half PPR? See, the tough thing is Calvin Ridley led all wide receivers this past week and expected half PPR points based on his usage. And also, that was a fucking touchdown. So not only am I going to get screwed tonight because Kenneth Walker is going to go for more than 8.5 points, I have Calvin Ridley, and he didn't get that touchdown. So, I mean, not a great situation for me. I would still probably want to play Ridley, especially against the Bucs next week. I mean, they're playing each other in this game, but I would rather play Ridley over Godwin next week for sure.
By the way, I will show you quickly one more thing. Just because I saw it got tweeted. So this is the AFC side of things. So projection wise, looks like the Ravens are pretty locked into the 1 seed right now, over 60% chance of being able to clinch that. The only team that realistically has like, I mean, I guess the Chiefs too, but if one team was to knock the Ravens off, it would be the
Dolphins because they play the Ravens. That's the easiest reason why they would knock them off, because then it's an easy tiebreaker.
However, so although the Ravens are the 1, the Chiefs are almost locked into the 2 as well. They're almost locked into the 2. The reason being is that with the Dolphins, you got a hard schedule moving forward, and B, another team in your division that could hypothetically take the crown. That's why their wildcard percentages are about 30%, whereas their division percentages are roughly just over 60%. So it's pretty interesting there when you look at it. Obviously, again, now you're planning basically the Chiefs are going to play whoever the 7 seed is, and you're looking at the 7 seed odds. It's like Buffalo, it's Indianapolis, it's Houston. Realistically, in the AFC, it's so ambiguous to the point where we can look at the projections now, but there's still so much football to be played. Like a team like the Jags, for example, they make the playoffs, it's going to be because they won the division. If they don't win the division,
could actually fall out of the playoffs altogether for sure.
Yeah. No, it's interesting looking at this. And then, of course, the Bengals are sneaking in here a little bit as well. They have higher odds than the Broncos now. Bills. Yeah,
well, the Bengals are 8-6, so I don't know why it's listed that way, but the Bengals have a better record than the Broncos.
Yes, that's based on tiebreakers, I believe.
Yeah, that's probably why. But yeah, if I had to put a guess on it, I would say that I think that the 3 wildcard teams would be the Browns, the Colts, and the Bills. But
I agree.
Yeah, because the Colts have a pretty cakewalk schedule. Like, I'd be shocked if they dropped a game. But they are also, like, a pretty volatile team to some degree, so it wouldn't shock me either if they, like, lost a random game to, like, the Titans or whatever here and there.
Yeah. By the way, I just realized the 2 jerseys I had hanging up weren't in the background because they're still in the backpack coming from Buffalo.
Yeah. Maybe you should leave them at home next time. It seems like they're bad luck.
Yeah, fuck. Maybe I'm just the bad luck going to live games, apparently.
Yep.
Wait. Real talk, though. 50-13 in the 2 games that I've gone to. And their record in games I'm not there, what is that, 22-7? And the record I'm there, it's 0-2.
Tough. JSN or Smith in a PPR league need one of them to score 11 more points than AJ Brown.
Hey, good luck with that.
I mean, you take Smith for sure because he's the guy that is leverage against AJ Brown. If he just gets the production, then it's likely AJ Brown didn't get the production.
Yeah, they're negatively correlated, so you want that play.
Yeah. I'm happy that Ayuk and Kittle did bad, but that CMC is a beast. Yeah, CMC is a fucking beast, man. And he's definitely thrown his ring into the hat for the most valuable player this past week, man. I think.
Dude,
did I say ring into the hat? Hat into the ring is what I meant to say.
I lost by, I think, 12 or 13 in my home league, and I played CMC. If he just had like 20 PPR points, good day, I'm fine. But this fucking guy scores 40 PPR points and just shoots a dagger into my chest.
Yeah, it's not really what you want for sure. How do we feel about Higgins if Jamar is out for a bit? Top 15 to 20? Yeah, top 20 to 24 is probably about the range that I would say with Higgins here. I tweeted it out when it happened, that Higgins, when Jamar Chase leaves the field, and it was just the gif of Calvin Johnson like mossing 3 Bengals players, because it's crazy. Every time Higgins is on the field by himself, he just turns into a fucking alpha the second it happens. Any pick'ems tonight? I'm glad you asked us here, Smooth Criminal, because I do actually have some pick'ems that I did right before we left in Buffalo. So this one, a little bit of a scorcher. I grabbed these 2 like scorcher entries. So DeAndre Swift to find the end zone. I think it's kind of a get right game for him. DK Metcalf to find the end zone as well. I need him to have a big game, obviously, for my best ball team. So I want to root for that doubly. And then Tyler Lockett, who I also need to have a big game for my best ball teams, higher than 52.5 receiving yards. I think I put $25 on this, if I'm not mistaken. So a pretty decent payout there. And then this one's just this one might be donating cash realistically. But I did basically an anytime touchdown for Tyler Lockett for Devontae Smith. And then I figured Drew Lock would be starting. So this is kind of screwing me that Geno Smith is starting. But higher than half defensive interceptions for Kevin Byard, who the Eagles acquired a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, he's the best. I mean, other than Darius Slay, probably he's the best ball hawking player on their secondary. And if Geno is, limping a little bit or banged up in any way, maybe he's throwing off platform and that kind of shit. I don't know. I'm just coping. I think Kevin Byard has a chance to get a pick in this game, basically, is all I'm saying.
Yep, that's fair.
I need Tyler Lockett to not score 3.87 points. Well, I wish I could root for you there, Jason, but I need him to score a lot more than that. Stafford or Goff. If you're talking this week, again, I think the Saints and the Rams are playing this week. I don't know who the Lions are even playing. I think it's the Vikings. They're playing the Vikings. So, I guess as of now, I would probably lean Stafford, but I don't know. It's close.
Yeah.
Up 2 with Smitty going against Lockett. How are my chances? I'd say you're probably like a 70% chance of taking that one. I think Smith versus Lockett, you'd probably give Smith like a 2.5, 3.5 fantasy point advantage over Lockett in a projection system. And then you're up 2 currently. So you're probably about a 75% chance of winning that. Sup, fellas? Did you enjoy the game yesterday? I mean, I enjoyed the game. Danny, not so much. The atmosphere was pretty electric. I am a little bit pissed because I said it going into the game. I was like, I want a good game. Like, I've never been to a football game where it was like down to the wire, 2-minute drill to win the game, overtime, anything. Every football game I've ever been to has been a blowout. I've never been to a football game that's been close. So I was kind of actually hoping for a back and forth affair, Josh Allen v. Dak Prescott going toe to toe. And instead we got to watch Josh Allen throw the ball like 7 times.
Yeah, we got to watch a Big Ten football game yesterday.
Yeah, it was basically Blake Corum erupting against the Rutgers defense is essentially what we watched.
That might be the most pathetic run defense display I've ever seen in the NFL. They gave up almost 300 rushing yards. Josh Allen threw the ball 15 times. It's like the negative is going to be placed on Dak because it's like, oh, they put up 10 points. It's like, yes, he didn't have a good game. He was objectively bad yesterday. The reason you lost.
Drew Lock is expected to start tonight.
I was just going to say the reason why you fucking lost is because your defense couldn't take anybody off the field. But that is weird. What?
So now Drew Lock is expected to start. So maybe my Kevin Byard thing is alive. So I don't fucking. What the hell are they doing?
He's active but not starting.
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell's going on there. But yeah, I would say the energy and the atmosphere of being at a Buffalo Bills game and not having a rooting interest in said game, it was fun to just be a Buffalo Bills fan for the day and watch them absolutely, run it down the throat of the Cowboys defense. That was kind of fun. There was a guy behind us that kept yelling "bleed the clock" every 5 minutes as well.
Oh, because that guy's hilarious.
Literally the third quarter was over in like 5 minutes. It was just all they did was run the ball the entire third quarter.
To be fair, he's like your classic, like big guy, middle-aged man, beer in hand, hairy arms, like run the damn ball type of beat in the crowd. They listened to him though, man. They ran the ball, I think, 47 times, excluding kneel downs. 47
they averaged over 5 a pop on the runs too.
Cook averaged 7.2 a pop, and like watching from our angle, like it was just clear, like he was bouncing outside every fucking play and just getting 8 yards, 11 yards. 13 yards. And I'm like, okay, we're not winning the game if we can't get off the field. Not to mention, especially earlier in the game, a lot of fucking undisciplined shit going on. A lot of
weather. By the way, the weather wasn't bad. So if anybody's thinking, oh, it was a slugfest because the weather was bad, it didn't. There was not a drop of rain until like midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, and then on top of
there was basically, there was barely really any rain altogether. So basically the Bills were like, this might be a weakness. We're going to run the ball and see how it goes. And then we're just like, oh, we're just like constantly picking up first downs doing this. Why would we even throw it?
Well, apparently too, I was watching some analysis because obviously you can only see so much when you're on the field. You have to like watch it again, like just to get more context from broadcast perspective. And what I noticed right away is the Bills are coming out in heavy sets. The Bills are coming out 22 personnel, bringing fucking Reggie Gilliam in, pounding the rock. The Cowboys just played base nickel all game. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to play base nickel and we're going to continue to run the ball at this type of efficient clip, you're not stopping us. And we've seen it even multiple times how the Bills had heavier personnel when it was a 6-yard run. And then you just get 6 Buffalo Bills going behind James Cook, pushing them 5 yards forward for the first down. Once you see that shit happen and the defense not able to adjust and put the proper personnel on the field, why on earth on offense would you not run the ball?
Yeah. It's like when you play Madden against somebody and he's in dime defense the entire game.
That's
just
literally what it
run
was.
The ball down their throat.
That like Dan Quinn would not adjust. He saw that the Bills were running heavy personnel. He just said, well, guess what? We win based off of our nickel defense. We're going to keep it out there. And it got fucking torched.
And if you do that, because I've seen the Bucs do it too. There's been game plans where, like against the Chiefs, for example, we had to run nickel or big nickel or whatever. Your corners and safeties better be able to tackle pretty well if you're going to do that.
And I mean, we saw that.
And yours did not. Our corners can tackle, but that was a pretty pathetic display. And your linebackers kind of were all brain dead as well in that game. Ben Johnson with Jaden Daniel or Fields will save us. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like Ben Johnson getting a head coaching job is the equivalent of how everybody's counting down who gets Caleb Williams. Like it's like Ben Johnson's like the Caleb Williams of coaches right now.
What team is Anthony Reid rooting for?
I'm assuming he means the Falcons because we were talking about the Falcons around this time.
Oh, right, fair.
I mean, thanks for getting me into the semifinals. My first year doing startups in the league. Yes, sir. We will have more Dynasty startups this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaky thing. We might want to do a live Dynasty startup as well.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done it. Everybody's doing live redraft leagues. I think it would be awesome to do a live Dynasty startup where you can have like a trade discussion camera and, you know, talk about the whole like startup and shit. And because everybody's in person, you don't have to worry about like slow clocks and shit. You just do it like a regular fantasy draft, except it's a Dynasty draft. So I think that would be really, really awesome if we could do that.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Sorry, the reason why my face went like that, by the way, is I see on my other monitor, apparently Joe Buck said the Seahawks don't believe Geno Smith would be able to go for all 3 hours in these conditions. What the hell does that mean?
So why is he even remotely close to starting to begin with?
Is he just going to randomly come in the third quarter or something?
I mean, if Drew Lock is getting destroyed, maybe. I think it's possible that we still see Geno in this game.
Yeah, possibly. That is
up 27.94 against Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift in PPR. Can I survive in advance?
Well, that's
yeah. I mean, this is so. I don't want this to happen, Nate, because clowning Deion's is who you're facing, and I have his first rounder. So hopefully you cannot survive in advance, hopefully you can survive in advance because I want you gone and I want you in the next round, and I want the 107 or the 108. So, the 108 is what I want here. So,
meanwhile, on the opposite end, I'm cheering for AJ to knock off Daddy Flex God on the other side of the bracket. So that'll be fun for me. For record, it was looking pretty bleak when Hurts was a true questionable because I forgot that there was a trade deadline in our league. Tried to trade him Marcus Mariota, then I realized your trade deadline is already over. So it was like truly, if Hurts went, he was fine. If Hurts didn't go, he would not have a quarterback, and he would need Tyler Lockett to score 21 PPR points. But with Tyler Lockett and Hurts, like he should be able to win, and I play him next week.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. We got beat CMC team, had St. Brown and Laporta. Yeah, you love to see that. I'm curious to know what the actual MVP odds are because Christian says, "How do you feel about Purdy being the MVP?"
Purdy's gonna. I mean, he's gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be minus odds probably.
I'm curious what the actual odds themselves will be here.
Yeah, I think probably him, Lamar, Dak probably fell to like 4 or 5.
The MVP odds now are minus 190 Brock Purdy, plus 450 for Lamar Jackson, plus 550 for Dak Prescott, plus 900 for Jalen Hurts, plus 1,200 for Christian McCaffrey, plus 1,400 for Josh Allen, plus 2,200 for Mahomes. Get out of here. And then plus 2,500 for Tyreek Hill. The fact that Tyreek Hill has the 8th highest odds is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I missed this. My apologies. Half PPR up 78.4. Need to dodge AJ Brown and Swift.
Yeah, that's not possible in half PPR, dude. Full PPR, big play bonuses, tight end premium or wide receiver premium, maybe. But yeah, you can't. You're good, bro.
Yeah, the pass completion or rushing attempt, like 2 bonus.
It'd be a tough league format to get that in. First down bonuses, maybe too.
We did it, by the way. Boys, we did it. We go into the chip 2-week championship somehow with Bijan, Brees, Javonte, Chase going down. For real, though, Vegas D at 807 was a huge hit. Thanks, boys. Anytime, man. Congrats. Good luck in the championship, my boy.
So I guess he's the one that you told to start the Vegas D.
Let's go.
Yeah, and Cody, if you guys don't know, Cody started the season 1-5, 0-4. Yeah, 0-4 start, and came back to do the absolute
fucking right. Dude, that's actually like if I had won in my home league, that would have been similar there too. So
yeah. Curious. Okay, here we got. I need AJ Brown and K9 to combine for 10 points. You should be good there. Are you closer to Montreal than Toronto? We are much closer to Toronto.
By far.
How far is Toronto for you? An hour drive?
An hour 20 maybe max.
Yeah, it's about an hour for me, so I'm a little closer to Toronto than you. But Montreal is like a 6.5 hour drive, give or take.
Well, it depends. It depends because Toronto's also like spanning like an hour. So like if you want Northern Toronto, but I agree, like Southern Toronto,
like I can get to Toronto. Like when we flew to Mexico, we went at our flight was at like 7:30, so we had to go to Toronto airport at like 4 a.m, and I got to Toronto in like 37 minutes.
Jeez, so you just
like it's not a far drive, like distance wise. It's Toronto, so there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's fair. Like let me see if I check the maps right now. Here to Toronto. I want to see what exactly it says. It says 54 minutes, but knowing some traffic, that's why I usually build it up about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
54 minutes
in multiple ways tonight. Yeah, we are praying. I know it's a pause, but we are praying for Walker to have a 4-point performance. Like that is what I need badly tonight. I'm a contender in Dynasty at the moment. Is it worth trying to get Ty Chandler for a 3rd plus?
I don't hate that if you're buying points. If he makes your lineup objectively better. But if you're a contender,
but like is Madison going to be back this week?
Yeah, that's the issue. It's like if you're desperate for points, that's one thing. But realistically, I probably wouldn't, like you said, because if you're a contender, Ty Chandler's your RB4. If he's your RB3 or better as a contender, I think you got a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree here. So the game is actually on, and we actually have a meeting for the Flock site with the lads here. Just going to skim through some other comments if anything's here. Bijan is so horrible. Season's done. Never stood a chance with him. You and me both, brother. I feel you on that. Tell you to draft guys like Bijan, and we're taking the plunge on a legendary up season.
It hurts.
This was possible, that he wasn't going to be a league winner. And we also, of course, knew that we also had a lot of stake in the game too. We weren't just telling you to do this and then we didn't do it ourselves. Like I had 20% Bijan on Best Ball Mania 4, and I drafted him in 3 of my 9 leagues total, 1 of my 2 redraft leagues. So I had a lot of exposure to Bijan, and he fucked me as well.
Yeah.
Drop those likes, everyone. Yes, appreciate it. Cowboys need to sign Sue if they're serious about a deep playoff run. That would make some sense, but Sue ain't playing football, trust me. Bucks tried to get him back last year too. Locke is starting. Yeah, Devontae over Swift tonight. I need this. I would prefer Smitty tonight over Swift personally.
Yeah.
Feel about starting Nico, Tyreek, and CJ Stroud next week, non-PPR. I mean, I don't even know who they're playing yet, dude.
Brother, I'm going to keep it a stack. Like next week fucking questions, just save it for
Thursday. So I know that Nico and Stroud are playing the Browns, which is a brutal matchup. And I know Tyreek is playing the Cowboys, which is a great game environment. I mean, Tyreek, obviously, you are starting him. No, I don't care if he's playing the 85 Bears. Stroud and Nico Collins are a tougher matchup. So it would depend what else you have here. That video would be so sick. Yeah, I think it would be awesome if we could get that done. Also, too, if you guys are doing playoff best ball drafts, let us know if you guys want to see like a strategy video. Maybe I can put something out like that this week or next, depending on when you guys decide to actually draft your teams. Maybe I'll do it next week because I think some people will probably wait to draft their teams until then. But yeah, I'd be interested to do that. And then I'm terrified of big Eagles Seahawks nights other than Lockett. Yeah, I need Lockett to cook tonight. A guy in my main league started 0-6 and made the playoffs at 7-7. That is wild, dude. That's a crazy one. Anyways, appreciate you guys for joining us. I like all the videos. Gives me the learning opportunity. Yes, appreciate you, Bailey. But yeah, enjoy the game. Hopefully you guys get or don't get what you need for your fantasy matchups to advance. Hopefully you guys did advance. If you didn't, there's always next year, of course. And, you know, if you didn't advance, this is the perfect time to head on over to Underdog Fantasy and start doing some playoff best ball drafts and start to get excited about, you know, some skin in the game in the NFL playoffs. Because if your favorite NFL team isn't making the playoffs, or even if they are, it adds a whole new element of fun to the playoff matchups, because nobody cares about, you know, Colts, Dolphins if you're a 49ers fan. But if you have a bunch of, you know, Dolphin stacks in your playoff best ball teams or whatever, it makes it a lot more fun to watch those games. So appreciate you guys for joining us. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon.